There is arguably no place outside of the 50 United States that is more honored and has more historic significance than right here on the beaches of Normandy in northern France. What happened here in June of 1944 changed the world, and for many reasons, those events are still relevant today. While many dream of visiting Normandy sometime in their lifetime, unfortunately, fewer than 0.1% of all Americans will ever see this extraordinary place with their own eyes. And although there's a world of theme parks, beaches, or tropical destinations you can visit, every American should find a way to visit these 3 unforgettable places here in Normandy before you die. Number 1, the Normandy American Cemetery. There's good reason why many people become a little overwhelmed emotionally when they first arrive here. It's a solemn, sacred place that moves many people to tears. Most get a little overwhelmed as they first glimpse at just how many young men are buried here. The scale and magnitude is sobering, and by walking row after row of white crosses and the occasional Star of David, you'll see the names, ranks, states, military units, and the day of death of each man. It's then you'll begin to see patterns that will reveal just how deadly each day was during this pivotal campaign, where an estimated 29,000 Americans were killed during the invasion of Normandy, with a little over 9,300 Americans buried here. After you've strolled around for a while, then go to the Visitor Center. It's worth an hour or so just to see the interactive exhibits and artifacts. But make sure you use the free computers to find someone buried here that comes from your state or community. Learn their story and discover how and why they were killed. Then go back out and find the grave and touch it. This will give you a personal connection here at the cemetery, and it will make your visit more relevant and meaningful. Plan on spending at least a half a day here, and make sure you take a lot of pictures. But also, make a special note of the things that you see, like the impeccably manicured grounds, the small pebbles placed on the Jewish grave markers, or the crosses with the bouquet of flowers left by a loved one. And like all vacations, taking photos won't help you fully remember the emotions you feel when you're here, especially those feelings as the chapel bells play a poignant rendition of Taps, or ring out the Star-Spangled Banner. Make an effort to remember how this place makes you feel, and if you do, those memories will remain with you for the rest of your life. Number 2, the D-Day beaches. Omaha Beach is right below the Normandy Cemetery and is where roughly 2,500 Americans were killed on June 6, 1944. As you walk down the path overlooking the beach, make sure you explore many of the German fortifications, bunkers, and tunnels that still remain. These well-hidden emplacements are pretty much as they were in 1944 and will give you some idea about the incredible advantage the Germans had during the invasion. As you continue to walk out to the beach, especially during low tide, you can imagine what an American soldier saw when the gate of his Higgins boat swung down and splashed into the sea, instantly exposing them to heavy enemy fire. With a little imagination, you'll gain a small glimpse of how helpless these young soldiers were, and how brave they had to be in order to make it to the beach, and where eventually they conquered despite improbable odds. Number 3, Utah Beach, Pointe and the Ranger Monument. Further up the road from Omaha Beach is Utah Beach, another designated landing site for the Americans on D-Day. And make sure you visit the Utah Beach Landing Museum, which is probably one of the best museums in Normandy. In that same area is Pointe du Hoc. It also remains pretty much as the Americans found it in 1944, with bomb craters, damaged gun batteries, and the cement remnants left after the pre-battle bombings. All of it makes it easier to imagine the devastating ferociousness of the battle. On top of a German casemate stands a monument built by the French to honor the improbable achievements of 225 U.S. Rangers led by Lieutenant Colonel James Rutter. This is also the place in 1984 where President Ronald Reagan gave his famous speech honoring the boys of Pointe du Hoc, who, during the early hours of the D-Day invasion, scaled this 90-foot cliff under a barrage of heavy fire to finally overpower the well-armed German force. Not only will you see this simple monument to the 2nd Ranger Battalion, but it is also believed that many bodies of German soldiers still lie in the ruins of Pointe, making this an historic place like no other in the world. There is much more to see here in Normandy, like Mont Saint-Michel, the incredible Bayeux Tapestry, and other D-Day sites like the Paratrooper Museum and St. Mary-Église, among many others. So check out our video about the 5 best things to see in Normandy after visiting the D-Day sites.